Today I sit down with a very well-respected doctor who is a board-certified dermatologist. He's also an author, a researcher, an entrepreneur, and overall has the most electric personality you'll ever come across. Enjoy this episode with Dr. Bobby Awadalla, also known as Dr. Skincredible, in the business of skin. My name is George Stroumboulis, and I'm extremely passionate about traveling the world, meeting new people, and learning about new businesses. Join me as I sit down with other entrepreneurs to learn about their journeys. This episode of Invigorate Your Business starts now. All right, so let's jump into this, man. We're going to introduce you. It's a list, right, of what you are, right? Board certified dermatologist.
Double board certified.
Double
now.
board.
Yeah,
So-
I just got my second board certification.
So what does that mean?
So there's certain certifications that the Board of Medicine will give you, and dermatology is one of them.
Okay.
Surgery is another one. Pediatrics is another one. So sometimes under one field, there'll be subspecializations that will allow you to double board certify.
Okay.
So if you're a pediatric dermatologist, you can double board certify. If you're if you do pathology, you can double board certify. Because I did a fellowship in Mohs Surgery,
Right.
they've created a board certification for it now, and I just got board certified last year.
That's huge.
So yeah, it's huge.
So double certified, author,
Author,
speaker,
speaker.
investor, entrepreneur. But the biggest thing is like just the life of any room or party, right? So it's Dr. Skincredible, Dr. Bobby Awadalla, Dr. Bob, and just awesome energy, right? And we could, it's incredible. So what are you like? How and why did you want to even become a doctor? Because your background, just knowing you and knowing your family, it's entrepreneurial, right? Your dad showed up to the States with a container of product and got into a business and became an entrepreneur.
Right.
How do you grow up in that environment and then become what you are?
You know, it's funny because my dad always groomed me to come and help and teach me the ways of business and this and just kind of being part of that. But I always joke around that my mom brainwashed me at a young age. But I have pictures at like 5 years old dressed up as a doctor, and
Really?
that was my choice for my Halloween outfit. So I don't know where it came from. It was just kind of always in my head, and I always wanted to do it. And throughout school, I just kind of maintained that, and it just kind of slowly chipping away at it. You know, you go through middle school and high school, and then college, and then med school, and then residencies, internship, residency, fellowship.
Right.
And so it's just an ongoing road, but I don't know where it came from. It was just
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So it was a seed.
It's incredible. And we'll get into what you do exactly and like the business side of it. But one of the first stories you ever told me, and it just resonated, and it's hilarious. It shows who you are as a personality. Is you always give back, right? You're not just a doctor; you're a good human. And I remember you go to Greece every summer, a couple times a year. You vacation there, and I don't want to say the story, but the story of where the poor waitress who was coming across and she had, can you just share that? Because I think it just frames who you are. And you're just always ready to help. And
Yeah, so we were yeah, it's a good story actually. We were in, my hometown, my mom's hometown in Greece, and we're sitting having dinner, having drinks, and the waitress, the way the restaurant is set up is there's the main restaurant, there's the street, and then there's beach side tables on the other side. And so the poor waitress has to go back and forth across the street. And it's a pedestrian street, but there's, people on mopeds that'll come by, people on bikes, and the poor waitress is carrying this tray full of glasses. I mean, it was stacked. I mean,
like you or I wouldn't be able to carry it properly with two hands, right?
absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a pro, but she's young. She's like 16,
Right.
17, and out of nowhere, this bike is coming down the street. It's dark. He slams on her, hits her straight on. All the glasses go up, and they come crashing down on her face.
Jeez.
And I'm sitting there, and everybody's looking at me like, I'm in a town, what am I supposed to do here?
Right.
So, of course, I go run over. I look. I tell her, look, go to the ED, their version of an ED,
Yep.
and let them clean it out and let them do what they're gonna do, and I'll look at it tomorrow or later if you get done,
Right.
and I'll see what's done and we can figure it out. The side note is that I had just finished my fellowship, and I had a bag, an emergency bag with me at all times during that time because if I have to go back to the office, I need to have equipment,
Right.
or if I need to go to the hospital, I need to have equipment.
While on vacation, you're still carrying this.
So yeah, well, I finished and I was moving from Houston, and I had one pack left, and I was like, packing up to go send my stuff home, and packing to go to Greece at the same time. So I just threw in the kit
Jeez.
into. I'm like, where does this kit go? I'm like, throw it in the bag for Greece just in case.
Yeah.
Who knows? And I just so happened to have a kit. So she went to the ED. She came back, and the stitching was horrible.
Where
She had uh she had lacerations right here and right here, and they were pretty big. I mean, and she came back with like 3 stitches in each one.
Jeez.
And I look at it and I'm like, this is just somebody just put,
Butcher job.
yeah, just put a couple in and get her out of here. So I'm like, look, I'm gonna meet you here tomorrow morning. I'm gonna bring my kit, and at least they cleaned it, and I'll restitch it for you. I would put at least 20 stitches in each one of these. So
And for someone, 20 stitches, less scarring, right? That's
well, yeah. So I was trained in facial plastic reconstruction. So for me, that was an ER job. They're just trying to solve the issue.
right.
So get it together. They're not thinking long term scars. They're just like, you're in the ER. You have an open wound. Close it. Bye. My whole job is pretend like you weren't even here. My goal is like I wasn't even there.
Gotcha.
That's my end goal.
Yep.
So we go in the next morning. She works at a restaurant. So I'm like, all right, what do we have? I get freaking chef's hat, put it over my head so no hair falls in. I'm like, all right, what kind? Do you guys have some chairs? She's like, yeah, we have xaploceres, which is
Like
a
the
lounge
beach
chair.
chair.
Yeah. So I put her on the lounge chair. I'm like, do you have a chair for me? They brought me like a little stool, and we're sitting there. It's morning. I'm like in the heat and
Yeah.
grease, sweating, and just cutting the stitches.
Come on.
Yeah, and I needed an assistant, so I got the owner, who was like a 20-something young lady, and she was cutting the stitches
She was
for me
with a cigarette out of her mouth, probably just
old Greek,
Yeah.
Greek style with a cafe and the scissors. So we stitched this young girl up, and she did great. I saw her a week later. I took her stitches out, and then she's from my hometown, so I saw her a few times after, years later, and her scars looked amazing.
dude. It's an incredible story. And you still probably see her like in the summers and
Yeah, and her family sees us, and they're always so thankful and grateful.
yeah,
And she was a young, beautiful girl. She
right.
was 16 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her, and she would have these nasty scars on her face. And I was just lucky to be in a place that I'd finished my training.
Yeah.
I knew what I was doing, and I could help. And I had just randomly threw in the kit, like.
You say you're lucky though, like she was lucky to have that, right? Like it just aligned where she was able to.
It just aligned, as
Yeah.
you said. Yeah.
Well, so when we first met and then I know you and then we hang out socially and you never think of like what you actually do. Right? It's just always like, oh man, we have good laughs, good energy, we talk about everything,
Right.
And a stressful day for me at the office is like, someone canceled an order or the lighting didn't work. Like a stressful day for you, it's like, I had 25 surgeries today. You're like, what? And you just nonchalant, like you're never the first guy to say what I'm doing. But, you basically, you save people's lives from the cancer aspect. Like it's a big deal.
Right.
And what you're able to do is pretty remarkable.
It's always when you're in something and you're doing something, you never see it as other people see it from the outside. So, yeah, it's pretty incredible in the sense that I go every day to the office,
Yeah.
and the office is 20, 22, 23 appointments, usually surgical.
Right.
Like I'll have a Mohs day where we're doing skin cancer removals, and it's literally 20 to 22 patients, 25 patients sometimes, and they're all there waiting, anticipating,
Yeah.
and you're removing their skin cancer, you're stitching them up, they're expecting the best results.
Yep.
You have to be on your A game every single day. And but you know, that's what I do.
Yeah.
It's just part of my
But
day.
like
You
they
know?
come in and an average surgery is say 30 minutes, making it up,
Uh-huh.
right? That's 30 minutes for them. That's everything that appointment.
Yeah.
They're out. You have 15, 20 more people after that,
Right.
and you got to chat, and you have this incredible personality. How do you even find that space to even get into a good framework mentally every day? Because you're human at the end of the day,
Y-
and you got to be on for everyone, every interaction.
Right. And it's not easy. Sometimes you have to battle through it, like if you're not having a good day or I get bad news, I'm running multiple things at the same time. If I get bad news from uh, the business side of things, if I've, not if if I didn't get what I wanted on this deal or something like that, of course it affects me. I'm human, but
Right.
you have to just kind of realize you have a human under there that's freaking out. Like I'm getting cut on.
Totally.
I'm getting an injection. He's stitching me up. He's pulling this. He's pulling that, and you got to just put your mindset
Yeah.
into, all right, let me distract this person. Let me. So it's just practice. Like
Sure.
if you dribble a basketball every day, dribbling becomes second nature.
Yeah.
So for me, I've just learned how to distract people and just go into that mindset of, okay, now you're on. So
Yeah.
it's just like, let's say an actor, lights, camera, action,
On.
and then he's like from going like this, hi, I am, and so you just kind of become an actor to a
Yeah.
certain degree.
And we're gonna share links, but if you don't follow Dr. Skincredible, Bobby, like you see your personality in that, right? Like you take something, people are singing with you and gifts, and like you're touching people's lives. It's amazing. Transitioning, I want to talk about the business side of what you do, right? So everyone knows we're based in California. This is where you're born and raised, and this is where your practice is.
Right.
For people listening outside of state, outside in another country, wherever we're at, how does it look? Like what's the most type of surgeries? What's the biggest type of work that you do? Is it more cosmetic? Is it cancer skin surgeries? And what does that look like?
So, I really pride myself in really doing the whole field of dermatology. I really like doing the general dermatology aspect, which is acne, rashes, bumps, lumps. People have concerns. They come in, they see, they get an opinion. Uh, most of what I do, most of my time is spent doing Mohs surgery, which is skin cancer removal surgery that has the highest cure rate, period.
Period. Okay.
Has about a 99% cure rate for skin cancers. Uh,
What sorry, on that, what does that mean? So Mohs is a specialization. Not every dermatologist who does that graduates with that. It's a specialty. What's the alternative if you're not getting a Mohs procedure?
so yes, Mohs is part of dermatology. When you're doing your general dermatology training, some programs will have some exposure to it.
Okay.
Some programs have a little more, some have a little less, but by no means what I had as a 1 year fellowship trained Mohs surgeon, which is that's all we did. So to give you an example, a regular dermatology uh, residency will maybe have you exposed to 200 or 300 Mohs cases.
Okay.
In my year of fellowship, I did over 5,000 surgeries.
Wow.
So when I come out, I've done 5,000, been part of 5,000 surgeries.
Versus the few hundred that
Right. So some dermatologists, especially in California, do Mohs surgery, and they could be qualified to do it and do it well, and they've been doing it well for years.
sure.
Um, but a fellowship just evens the playing field. Like you've done this, you know this, and that's why they created the board certification. So now they recognize the people that have done this and put extra work in are board certified in it, and they have the license. So
Okay.
from here on out, that will change, right? So the general dermatologist will not be as qualified without that board certification.
Okay.
So I do a lot of that. I do, probably 70% of what I do is Mohs surgery.
And not just in one location. You're entrepreneurial in how you're servicing,
Right.
you
So
know
I have my office and I do all the Mohs surgeries for my office, obviously. But, there's other offices that contract me out because I have this specialization and they don't want to do the surgeries or they don't have the time or the ability or specialty to do
Yep.
it. Whatever combination of factors, they call me and they say, hey, we have, you know, X surgeries a month that we need done. Will you come and do them for us? And so at any one time, I have between 3 to 10 offices that I do this for. So I've done this for 3 states. I do it, I've done it for Las Vegas. I had 5 offices in Las Vegas. I was doing it for Lake Havasu, Arizona. I was doing it for Northern California. I go to the desert, Palm Desert, Murrieta. I still do their surgery there.
Wow.
And so it's pretty intense. I'll go out, they'll line up their patients for the day. I'll go there, I'll do their surgeries, and then I'll come back.
Right.
And so it requires some traveling, depends, 1 hour, 2 hours to the desert, sometimes a flight, a couple-hour drive. But, they have a need. We're serving underserved areas as well. Like Lake Havasu doesn't have capacity to take care of all those patients. So, to a certain degree, it's also nice because we're treating underserved
Yeah, absolutely.
areas, and it's rewarding because they're so grateful. When you have access to everything, you just think it's normal. When people don't have doctors and they don't have care, um, you're the guy.
Yeah. And
And
they
so,
they can't just hop on a plane and go somewhere, and there's economical barriers and all this
right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah, it's remarkable. So you do all that when you see someone, right? Even socially, right now you're sitting at looking at me. It's hard not to, from the cosmetic side, be like, man, this would really help this and this. Are you just programmed that way in your mind?
You know what? You think I was. Sometimes I notice things, and of course I notice them. What I notice more is moles and abnormal moles. If I see an abnormal mole on somebody, because because melanoma is such a deadly disease, I'll go straight to that person and say, you need to check this.
Even if it's socially or you
Yeah, well, it's just a responsibility. I mean, imagine you see a car coming down the street and somebody's in the middle of the road. Would you just help grab that guy out of the way, or push him out of the way, or yell? That's the same instinct for me. Like
okay,
I see a mole on someone's face that could be a melanoma. It's almost like if I don't say something and that's a melanoma, that guy's dead.
that guy's dead. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just crazy. And you're in Southern California, so much sun exposure.
right,
I've been living here 7 years now. Prior to that, growing up in Canada, is very little sun exposure, summertime,
right.
but we would abuse it even more, right? You go to Greece, you're putting on basically baby oil to try to get just so dark.
You want to prove that you went
You
somewhere.
want to prove you,
Yeah.
which is probably worse. Where here it's like smaller doses, but what is some advice even in protecting your skin, because it's serious. Even now that I'm getting older, I'm in my 40s. I'm scared as shit of, man, all that sun exposure. Is it going to result in something?
Right.
And what does it look like? You know?
So it's very interesting that you brought those two things up because you are from Canada. They've actually done a study on this. And what they did was they studied people in England that have overcast almost the entire year, versus people in a sunny location like Southern California. And they monitored their sun exposure for the year and their habits.
Okay.
And so the people in England have overcast all year long. Uh, but they'll go a couple times a year and fry for like 2 weeks. They'll sit
Okay.
on a beach and fry for 2 weeks, get sunburnt, and just try to get as tan as possible. The people in California they monitored just went through their daily life, didn't really go to the beach. They were just normal people.
Hmm.
Mailbox, supermarket, car driving, and what they found was that between the two populations, a non beachgoer suntanner in California got more sun exposure over a year than people in England that just went tanning for a month out of the year.
Really?
Yeah, because that daily dose, the microdoses every day,
Yep.
car to the supermarket, front door to the mailbox,
Yes.
that constant sun exposure, driving. We get a lot of sun driving. People don't recognize that. Goes right through the windows.
It does. So even this in my mind, I always thought, oh, UV protection when you're driving and you're getting the taxi tan, that's exposure. Like you're,
Yes,
yeah, see, that's crazy.
right.
You don't realize that.
Yeah, you don't realize it. And there's moments every day that you make decisions that you don't realize. Like we'll go to lunch in California and you'll sit outside. You think it's a beautiful day. Well, you're getting pounded for an hour
Right.
of sun exposure, even if it's not that bright or hot. And so all those little things add up.
Yep.
And so in living in a place like this, especially, you have to be a lot more vigilant. Uh, and the sun is the number one cause of skin cancer and aging.
And aging.
So, if you're young and beautiful, that's a good reason to try to maintain it. If obviously for skin cancer side of things, also want to avoid having
Avoid it.
issues later on. Yeah.
And again, it's the obvious stuff. We're not trying to educate people on sun protection specifically, but we should. Is it is the basics like apply protection, hats, stay out of the sun. Is that what you preach every day?
Yeah, it's basic stuff. I mean, you know, obviously a hat is going to protect you. We recommend broad brimmed hats. The baseball caps don't do anything for the sides, and so they don't really do a good job. So hats, sunscreen every day, apply before you go out. If you're going to be out in the sun, specifically, reapply every 2 hours. So go to the beach.
Yep.
At the beach, sit under an umbrella. Avoid sun from like the peak hours from like 10 to 2. So you want to go to the beach, go at 2, go 2 to 4.
Right.
Um, avoid, like I said, avoid like exposures for no reason. So if you're going to go sit outside, make sure to sit under an umbrella. Don't go sit in the sun for an hour where you're getting unnecessary exposure. Wear you can wear some protective clothing. They make clothing that looks
Right.
normal clothing that has has a protective factor within it.
Does that get you action in Mykonos though if you're wearing these sun protection?
Some of them aren't half bad.
They're not bad.
They have some cool before they
Yeah.
they've worked their way up, so they have some cool clothing.
Sure.
I think you have a lot more to worry about in
Yeah,
Mykonos.
exactly.
But-
Than that. Well, let me ask you this debate. When you're putting sun lotion on, should it be caked on and white? Like if it's a white, do you need to put it on where you're covered and it's white? Because I've heard if it's not white on your skin, then the sun's getting through. Is that true?
So yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. So when they test an SPF number in a laboratory, it's basically caked on. I mean, you're talking about gobs of
Oh.
sunscreen, thick sunscreen on your skin. And so when they test it, that's how they test it. So
It's not natural though, right? Who's doing that?
no one's doing it.
All right.
So if you want to get an SPF, the number that's on the bottle, that's how you should do it.
Okay.
And so nobody's going to do that. And so what people ask me is like, oh, I've heard SPF over 20 or 30 doesn't make a difference. And in a lab, anything over 30s, you're trying to just get small amounts of protection. But we don't live in a lab.
Yep.
What's the first thing anybody does when they get this sunscreen on is they rub it in so it doesn't show.
Yep.
So we're not applying sunscreen as it's supposed to be applied. And now what they found is if you apply half the amount of the recommended sunscreen, so you're supposed to put 1 ounce of sunscreen for your body. If you do half an ounce of sunscreen for your body, you don't get half the protection. You get a square root of the protection.
Oh.
So if you have an SPF 100
Mhm.
and you apply half, you don't get an SPF 50. You get an SPF 10,
Wow.
right? So I always tell my patients, always get the highest sunscreen that you can get on because you're never getting the protection you think you get.
Gotcha. So an SPF 30 is like a 2 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. You're not getting it because you're not applying it correctly.
Okay. Which leads into, well, actually, we're going to talk about your entrepreneurial side as well, but talking about the cosmetic side of what you do. And there's listeners out there who have kids teenagers starting to get older, insecurities, and, we're all on social media and this person looks perfect and you got to do this and I don't like this. You make money based on making people feel better, look better, right? Is there an age where you think, give it some time? You shouldn't be focusing on this right now, whether you're a boy or a girl coming up. Like, do you see most of these people trying to, in their 20s?
That's a really good question. I think there's a lot of variations, really important things that happen at different age groups. We have young kids that are teenagers that come in with their mothers or their fathers, and you have to discern: are you treating the mother because the mother is concerned about the cosmetics of the patient, whether cosmetics just means acne.
Yep.
Could be just acne. You have a young boy with 3 pimples. He's 14. He doesn't care about 3 pimples. But is the mother concerned? So you have to discern who's interested in that treatment.
That's a great point. Okay.
And a lot of times it's the parents. The kids don't care. And if the kids don't care, they're not going to follow through with the treatments. They're not going to get better. So you're going to have that discussion.
Sure.
Then you go into the 20s where you have like a young girl that, a young woman, I should say, or a young man that starting to want cosmetic treatments. And sometimes it's appropriate. There are some 20 something year olds that have
Yep.
starting to have wrinkles in the forehead and they start doing Botox. Younger 20s is probably a little early, but by mid to late 20s, I don't think it's abnormal to start doing small things like
Right.
Botox. Now, that's within the normal realm, right? And then from there on, you can start adding things as you age naturally. You will need or you should get certain things. Uh, on the flip side, there's the unnatural wants, right? So if a 22-year-old comes in and she wants to look like, somebody she's not, or she's,
Sure.
there's body dysmorphic syndrome. You got to be careful that these people don't have psychological problems that want to look like somebody else or want to do major alterations to their
Sure.
faces. So you got to just kind of always judge and read the person who's in front of you and see their motivations and if they're within reason or not reason. And then you have to be responsible as a doctor in treating them.
Right.
I have people that come in and they're like, put more in my lips, and I say no.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
like
matter about the dollar you're chasing. This isn't
you gotta,
right.
yeah, you're gonna look like a sausage.
Yep.
Like your lips are gonna look terrible. We're not trying to make,
Yeah.
and then it also reflects on me because
Walking billboard right
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like who did your lips? So Dr. Bobby did my lips. So I send patients away.
Yep.
So I do things to look natural, naturally beautiful, enhanced,
Hmm.
but not extreme, not overdone. And I just won't do it.
And you won't.
So you have to know the right. You have to kind of read the people.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people with, you know, that want to go overboard, that trying to convince you to do that, and you just have to.
Just walk. So looking at males and females, what are the top 3 most common things that you do from a cosmetic standpoint for men and women?
So just broadly,
Broad.
Botox
Yep.
or a neuromodulator modulator to stop the wrinkles on the forehead and the upper face, very common.
Yep.
Almost everybody should and can get those to stop the wrinkling of the forehead, the glabella between the eyebrows, and the crow's feet on the eye on the on sides of the eyes. Fillers also very common.
Okay.
As we age, we lose volume in the face, so we can revolumize the face. We get wrinkles we want to fill in, like the nasolabial folds between the cheek and the upper lip is a common place. So those are very common. They're very simple. You walk in, you do them, and you walk out, and it looks great, and you're done. Uh, the other thing that we do is laser
Yep.
surfacing, to help with tone, texture, wrinkles, pore size. These lasers kind of help uh, remodel the top layers of the skin. And so those are probably the top most common. We're doing a lot of cold sculpting and body sculpting lately.
And
Uh,
that's laser machines that do.
no, those aren't lasers. Those are specific. They're different types of machines. Cold sculpting is a fat freezing machine. You put it on your certain area of your body, and it'll remove 20 to 25% of the fat in that area.
Wow.
And so, really,
Over how long?
every treatment you do. So
Jeez.
if you have a little, you have a little belly that you want to take down. If you put the machine on that part of the belly, it will remove 20% of the roundness of that belly, and it'll do it every treatment. So
So you got a guy that comes in and he's got a pot belly, right? Not big, but he's got there. Can they expect with regular treatments over the course of 6 months, this can essentially like
yeah,
how
less than that. I mean, it depends, right? We're not talking about beer bellies here.
right,
We're
right, right.
talking about you're reasonably you're in weight. You're
Yep.
you're reasonable in weight. You're not obese. But you have that little
Yep.
pooch at the bottom that kind of you don't like how it looks. You can't get rid of it. Or you have a little bit of love handles. You can take that down and look really good within one or two treatments.
That's incredible.
So yeah, you can make a significant difference. Now, if you're a little heavier, you can still make progress, but this is not a weight loss solution.
Right.
If you need a weight loss solution, you need a weight loss solution. This is a trimming. So imagine, I kind of imagine you have the deli meat at the and you see that curved deli meat, and imagine just taking a knife and just slicing 20% off the top. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
It's precision. It works great. You can use it on the behind the underbrow area, the love handles, the lower belly. You can use it on your internal thighs, your external thighs. You can do it under the butt. Some girls have, or girls or guys have
Yep.
banana rolls. They call it. It's like a little roll under the
We'll
butt.
get a visual up on the screen for that.
So you have all these different areas, and it's precision.
Okay.
The other thing we do for body sculpting is called M Sculpt, which is mainly a muscle stimulating machine. So you sit down, you put it on, and it's a 30-minute treatment, and it's as if you're doing 20,000 crunches if you do
Come
it on your
on.
stomach every 30 minutes.
That's cheating. This is incredible.
It's totally cheating. And so you sit down, you turn the machine on, and it's just doing an exercise. And so you're getting 20% increase in muscle mass. And the bonus on that, it also has a radio frequency on top of that, which heats up the fat cells at the same time. And so it disrupts fat cells.
Okay.
That machine is more global. So it's not precision cutting. It's not like a knife cutting through, but it just globally treats the area. Let's say we're doing the abdomen. It globally treats the area to decrease the amount of fat.
So at this point of the episode, will you take off your shirt and show everyone maybe. So this is all amazing. One of the things that is quite impressive, you're doing all this. And when I think of doctor, right, just doctor in general, they studied really hard. They're great at what they do. And they're a doctor, right? I don't associate it often with entrepreneurial mindset when it comes to a doctor. This is my profession. I do it. My patients come and that's it. You were born into this, be an entrepreneur, figure it out for yourself. You have to, and you're a doctor. So it's amazing. Best of both worlds. Good segue into you developed like this incredible product. And again, I don't know how much we could discuss, but that's when I first met you was while you were a dermatologist, doctor, Mohs surgeon, and you were developing this game-changing supplement that helps.
Right.
And it was just incredible seeing, days working on this, discovering. Walk us through, what was that product to the extent that you could speak to it, and what was the duration? We'll talk about some of the economics of it, but really impressive.
So yeah, when I was in residency, I was kind of just thinking about things, and I was learning about skin, and I was just kind of frustrated that there wasn't something that really was healthy, that make a difference in people's skin, that they could do for long term. Something that could help them out. And
From the inside, nothing topical.
yeah, so I thought about it, and I said, look, if we can support skin health just like we support uh, you know, through our bodies, because let me back up. Where this came from is I did research with a gentleman, a very well-known doctor in North Carolina, that proved that basically people have a really hard time using topical medication. It's one of the hardest things we try to get people to do, to put on creams for, even for when they're sick, when they have rashes, when
Oh,
they have
really?
diseases, when they have psoriasis or eczema, long chronic diseases. They basically use the medicine for 3 days after they leave the doctor's office and 3 days before they come back in. It's really hard for people to maintain that.
Okay.
And so, having done that research, my mindset was already there. And so I was like, there's got to be something we can give internally. So I started looking into it, and I came up with the idea that we can support the skin from the inside out with a supplement. And I started researching everything that every lab in the world had ever produced on this topic. And I found that there was a lot of stuff out there, and nobody was doing anything. So as I came out of residency and training, I worked on the formula while I was in training.
Like a side project, passion.
Yeah, outside of studying and for the boards and working all day for, I would just kind of research at night or whenever I had some time, different things that I wanted to put in my formula, and I put together a formula that I thought was going to be, the highest clinical output uh, for somebody.
Okay.
I wasn't skimping on. I wasn't thinking about costs. I wasn't thinking about things that would come down the road that would become important. I was just a doctor trying to get the best clinical outcome, and I put this formula together.
All natural components, like
All natural vitamins, natural herbs, that had shown to be uh, supportive of of the skin. And so I put that together while I was training, and as soon as I came out, I started working on figuring out how to do this, and I had no idea
Right.
about any of this. I mean, I just trained to be a doctor. I just came out of a full-time doctor job, dermatology job, in an office doing, general dermatology and cosmetics and Mohs surgery. And at night, I'm here trying to figure out how
It's
to
crazy.
start this. So I go to this beverage show because I was thinking we could do it into a beverage so people can drink it and be easier. And so I end up going there and learning, a little bit about the business. And then I met a couple contacts. And one of them was a formulator to kind of put this all together and make flavor. And so we started putting the formula together. And then I got a consultant, a beverage consultant to kind of help me fix,
Sure.
the business. And so I just started putting pieces together.
I mean, if you're smart enough to study to become a doctor and figure this out, I'm sure it was a challenge for you. Where do I go? Like even that process, let me go to the beverage show. Step one, right? Like it's just that progression
Yeah.
seems so naturally. And then was your motivation like as you started going, was it growing and this could really become a beverage type company? And
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this could be a huge success. I mean, you're really offering something that it doesn't exist,
right,
and certainly nobody knows about this. So if you can tell people that, hey, take this drink and you'll have a significant amount of support for your skin in different areas.
right,
Would you take it? And the answer was always, yeah, this is a
absolutely.
no brainer.
Yep.
And so it was kind of like a daily vitamin. We created into a drink to make it more fun and
Yep.
easy and accessible, but literally it was a vitamin. We didn't put it into pills because early on, with the amount of products that I wanted to be in there, the capsules would have been like 8 to 10 capsules per day.
Or swallowing one this size, right?
Right, or just have a pleasant tasting drink that you
right.
just take down. So that's why we went that route. And so you figure all these things out as you
Absolutely.
go.
Absolutely.
It's
And just doing that, right? You self-funded this essentially,
right.
right? From start to finish. And I remember just conversing and having conversations. You're not a SEO expert. You're not a operations person and you knew to hire the right people, figure it out,
Right.
but you also became a master in each section of that too as you went. Right? Like you could speak to it and learn about it because if you're paying those bills every month, right? You want to know where it's
You
going.
learn quick.
You learn
Yeah, you
quick.
learn quickly. Yeah, you have to learn
Yep.
because these things come up. I obviously had great help. My partner at the time was in the corporate world. He was in consulting. He had a lot of experience with different businesses and,
Yep.
and running different aspects of businesses. So he was a great help. We hired a marketing expert that also helped and taught. And so we all learned at the same
Yep.
time, but specifically about the business that we were doing. But we learned. I learned had no idea about SEO, about the details of pay per click, about Facebook advertising, about
Right.
cost per acquisition, and you just learn a whole new language, which is amazing. It was basically a second med school, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
a second
absolutely.
training. It
You
was
you got your MBA through that, right? And it's not even you're talking about the marketing side of it, but even the packaging, a drink versus a powder and the economics of the shipping versus this, like
yeah,
just
all
going through that.
supply chain, yeah, getting ingredients, sourcing, what kind of ingredients, where they coming from, how they're putting them together,
Right.
uh, the design. We had a designer that had to come up with this. Where do you want this? Where do you want that?
Right.
I mean, yeah, all aspects of this kind of crazy new business to create a box, to create a packet inside the box, to get the labels to, the stickers to close the
Right.
box, to be compliant with, your just the little box on the back that says calories and this and that.
Yes.
Just to get that right, you know, took an enormous amount of
Sure.
time and effort and how it looks and how people can read it and where does it go.
Yeah, you didn't even talk about like distribution of it. Like there's so many elements to this, right? And it was over the course of how many years? Several years?
Yeah, it was a total run of about 5 years. Yeah, from start to finish when we kind of let it go. But
Yep.
uh, yeah, we had to decide. We changed distribution several times. We started out by going to the beach towns and putting them in where we live, putting them in different little um, pharmacies and
Yep.
gas stations and stores in the area. and having people, local, hiring locals to kind of uh, go to different places and try to get them in. We went to uh, kind of considered national distribution in the
Right.
big chains. We went into a couple supermarkets, and then we went into heavily online. Um, and then we changed from single bottle use to 30 packets. We changed it to a vitamin packet that we went to, 30 packets to do a daily, basically a daily packet, so you can actually see the improvement. So there was a lot of
A lot.
adjustments.
The most impressive thing, and this is how I operate my business and what I do, and I see this every day. Like, it's so easy to sit there and create a perfect plan on paper, and these are going to be my projections, and this is our business model and our strategy, and this is what we're following. The minute you step outside and you launch it to the world, that shit goes out the window.
Right,
And you guys were constantly evaluating. Well, the market said this, let's do this. And that continual feedback and the willingness to even have an open mind. The
right.
market doesn't know what they want, and you guys kept on adjusting. Like, for me, that's like a huge takeaway, like, to do that. So when you decided, hey, I got a million other things, I'm going to walk away from this. What are some lessons over those 5 years that just resonated with you on, if I were to do this again in the future, from the business side, from whatever side, what would you do differently? Or what was something that,
I think initially, one of the things is obviously is who's funding the company, and I funded the company entirely, the entire time, and it adds up quick. And I had a lot of offers for money, but I didn't want to take people's money unless I was certain this was going to go somewhere. And I think a lot of successful businesses and not successful businesses take money up front.
right?
And so if I had to do it again, I was trying to be responsible with not taking people's money because I wasn't sure where this would go. But I think a lot of people take money uh, early on, and that helps support them and make different decisions. And
Yep.
uh, it- you know, that would be one kind of decision I would kind of have to rethink about which way to go.
Right.
Um,
Can you share? Sorry, just on that, can you share? You didn't put out a couple bucks. Like, we're talking significant, life changing money to a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh, yeah.
people. Like, it wasn't just a
Yeah. Well, I was working, and as I was getting paychecks, I was paying bills. I mean,
right.
it was crazy for 5 years. And the higher the bills got, the more I would work to pay those bills, and I would still have to come and run the company at night. So it got
Yeah.
pretty intense. I mean, the bills. That's kind of what happened, right? I mean, we grew so much, and as you grow, the need for money comes in, and I was self-funding, and so I was finding more work
Yep.
and to supplement the need for that, which is, you know, it's great because I was able to do it, but
Absolutely.
and many people can't do that, so they have to take the money. But I didn't put myself under anybody's, you know, under pressure of anybody that I had to report to that.
You have to do
What are we
this.
doing with this money? What are you doing with this money? When are you going to show me profits? When are you going to show me this? When are you going to show me that? So on that side, it was freeing. But on the other side, I was working twice as hard to fund something and then work on that
Right.
on off hours. So, um, it's just an interesting dynamic. Would I next time take money up front and save myself from having to put my own money in and then work harder to do it, or do I or take money and then do it full time rather than working
Right.
to make money to support it? That's just one of those things that I just still don't know the answer to. If it was money that was from a venture capital fund or something like that, it's a lot easier to take. But when Uncle Joe tells you, "Here's $200,000, put
Yeah.
me in," you're like,
That
Uncle Joe,
yeah.
I don't know.
That
Maybe
next family function may not go. Yeah.
maybe you should buy a house.
Maybe you should buy a house. No,
So
it's incredible from that standpoint, and what you guys did. And again, I know we're pressed for time. You have surgeries to do. Uh, just two last things. This did open up doors, though. Like, the success of Dr. Bobby Awadalla was interviewed by, Dr. Drew, Maria Menounos. You've been on every cover of medical magazines. Like, it's pretty awesome that you were able to do that and carry it through.
when you look back, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I had a lot of opportunities. I met a lot of people I would have never met.
Right.
It's been great, and the whole adventure's been great. I mean, I learned a lot. I'm using a lot of what I learned. The SEO, that's all relevant still. Like
Yeah.
I right after right after we shut down the company, part of the reason was I wanted to start my own office, and so literally I think it was a month later I bought my first office,
Yep.
and I started my first office, and all that stuff came into play. I mean, we're still dealing with pay per clicks, and we're still dealing with SEO, and we're
Totally.
still dealing with Facebook and Instagram advertising, and um, there's still funnels that we're creating to get people into the business and automating appointments, and so we're way advanced as a company on these things. I mean, I look at our setup and it's like amazing. You can go on our website, click appointment, pick a time, and it's literally a time that is an actual real time that you can get an appointment. Click on it, get an appointment, and you're done. I
Done.
mean, it's 3 clicks.
Seamless.
Nobody
No.
has
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I mean, very few doctors have the wits to do that because they didn't have that training, or they don't have the systems in place
Right.
to do it. And so you're on hold. We'll get back to you, or we can't get through. We don't have that. You can go straight into the website, book a reservation, you're done.
Absolutely. One final one. Personal, family, right? When you started as a doctor, single, busy, traveling the world, doing everything. Now as a married doctor, still growing your business. How has that support been strengthened? Like how are you better at what you do because of growing your foundation now as a
Right.
family?
I've always been lucky. I've had amazing family support throughout my life. My parents were always there for me and my sisters. They they did everything. They put us through med school. They put us through all the schooling. They supported us. So we just had a lot of support in that aspect, and ongoing still. I mean,
Yep.
it's incredible. Um, you know, Des brings a whole nother aspect to that because she's there every single day. She sees the ins and outs
Yep.
of what happens on a daily basis. If you're not really in the house, you get a sense of what's happening, but you don't really know the
Yep.
day to day and the struggles that come with just breathing in business and in life. I mean, so many personal struggles, so many business struggles, so many professional struggles. And so I think she's just there as a constant support, like,
A
always
catalyst. Yeah.
always
Yeah.
there and always supportive, and no matter what happens, she's always trying to help and figure out a way to, be part of the solution. So it's been amazing. I think when children come, I think that's gonna probably go the other way. Then it's gonna be me trying to.
Work more hours.
Well, it's gonna be another full time job,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna have 17 full time
Yeah.
jobs. Uh,
Dude,
you know better than anyone else, George. I mean,
yeah. You
you.
still don't have a lot of grays. Wait till you get them. You'll start seeing the grays, but it's balance. You figure it out. And people who are busy and get busier, they just put it into the schedule. You just figure it out.
Right.
Um,
I'll be
any
calling you for advice.
yeah, I won't be answering. I'm like, I got my own shit. Let me ask you, any final things to discuss, plugs, anything that people should know? We're going to throw up all the links, but
Yeah, I mean, come see us. It's Skincredible Dermatology, Skincredible Derm, skincredibledermatology.com. We'd love to take care of your skin, general dermatology, cosmetics. We're doing a lot of cool stuff. We can make your skin look 100 times better. Just come and see us. We'll find a personalized solution. I have a rock star partner in Anissa that's there doing cosmetic treatments as well. If you need a surgery, if you have skin cancer, if you have any concerns about any spots, we can look at them. We're there for you. We get you in quick. We get it. We get a professional opinion, and we'll get it done for you. Um, you know, uh, I'm blessed. I appreciate everything I've been given, and I hope that I continue to grow and have the support that I have. I'm blessed that you asked me to be
are you
here.
kidding me?
It's been fun.
No, dude, you're amazing. You're a legend. Just keep rocking, and thank you for making the time. I know time is one thing you don't have, so this is awesome.
Thanks, George.
Appreciate it,
You
my man.
invigorate me.
Yeah, I'll invigorate your skin. That's the next.
Invigorate your skin.
Invigorate. I got to buy that
It's
domain
coming.
before
You get
I
it now.
buys
Get
it.
it now. I'm gonna get it quick.
Dude, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. please hit the subscribe and like buttons and follow me on all the main podcast streaming channels. Also, please share your comments when you can. I appreciate your help in expanding this network to a worldwide audience. Until next time, stay invigorated.